Your story is waiting for you today. Your story has something new to say. But your story will only come out to play when you're alone. Alone. Alone in a room with invisible people.
The following episode may contain swearing. Alone in a Room with Invisible People is brought to you by hollyswritingclasses.com. Hi, I'm Rebecca Galardo, the host of Alone in a Room with Invisible People. I'm here today with author and teacher Holly Lyle, and today's topic is how to write middles. Last week we did how to write beginnings, and I'm sure you can guess what comes after how to write middles. But before we get into the topic, just like every week, we're going to talk about what we did this week. Holly, you're first.
Okay. Again, another good week. Dead Man's Party. I've decreased the amount of words, and I mentioned this again last week because I was running long, and because if you start shortening scenes a little towards the end, you accelerate the pace of the story for the reader. So but I still got more words than I was supposed to get. I got 1,101 words. On Wishbone, where I was shooting for 6,000 words, I got 6,172 words. And
nice.
oh my God, I am so excited about how that's coming together. I'm really happy with both of them, actually.
Aw,
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I love the story that I'm getting with Dead Man's Party. I'm down to the last 4 scenes, I think. And oh my God, my main character is in such trouble. And my other characters, there's just so much stuff going on. It's so crazy. And Wishbone, my main character is in such trouble.
Yeah, really, when are your main characters not in trouble, Mom?
Yeah, this is true. But I am having an exciting time writing both of these, and I'm just having a ball. And let's see, this week I also wrote How to Write a Novel Lesson 33, so I'm getting really close to the ending of that course, too.
Damn.
And yeah, it's How to Unstick a Stuck Story was this week, and it was pretty much the exact opposite of the lesson last week, in that the processes you do are almost exactly opposite. And it was just, I didn't realize when I was putting the class together that it was going to work out that way, but it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is neat.
Yeah.
It's also, I'd like to hear somebody say that lesson title like 5 times super fast.
Oh, God, yeah.
Unstick a
stuck story, yeah.
Story?
Yeah.
No,
and
screw that. I stumble over sentences that are normal.
And to take us back briefly to the hard drive zombies episode, I got rid of one of my hard drive zombies this morning. And I'm going to let Becky tell you about that. So over to you.
This morning's been great. Well, it's also been kind of sad. So I got the rights to the Ghost and Gremlins story that Mom had started, series, technically.
Yeah, you got all 4, the whole world building and all 4 story starts and the first 30,000 words of the first book.
Yeah, I that is amazing. I love that. I like I said when we were talking about it, it's like I'm kind of sad because I don't get to read your version of it, which, since I was a teenager, I've wanted to read. Yeah. I just always wanted you to get back to it. But if it wasn't going to get written, then I would rather have it and write it, and that be something that we kind of did together, in a way.
Well, see, and that was the thing that when I woke up this morning and knew what I was going to do, that was it, because when we were just talking about it yesterday and I had finished just breaking the entire thing and not realizing at the time that I had just broken the entire thing, you had said, well, it would be really cool if we could take my world that I'm writing that's in kind of a similar thing and then connect it to that. I woke up.
I wanted to connect them both.
Yeah. And I woke up this morning and thought, holy shit, it's perfect. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about that now, because I'm going to go through all of the world building that you have done, and add like the name, because like what I told you before, I just needed the name of the world, the name of the paranormal society, the group, and like one of the names of the characters. So I'm going to find those 3 things, and I'm going to connect them to the group that I'm building now, which is in Glass House, but in Glass House they're already established. So this is kind of like their story where they're just getting the Paranormal Society together. And I think by about book 2 or 3 is when Glass House will take place.
Cool.
So I'll be able, and I don't know how many books are going to be in this paranormal series that I'm writing right now, but there's probably going to be another, 7 or so.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to intertwine. And then I can bring in Ghosts and Gremlins anytime I want because they're already an established Paranormal Society.
Right.
So this is really cool. Plus, aren't they in North Carolina?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
They are in my version of Laurinburg, North Carolina. And
yeah.
working out of the John Blue house. So
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay. Well, then that works for me.
Right. Well, you've been these places and you know the
Yeah.
area really well. I mean, you were born there, you grew up there.
Yep, I grew up there. Mark and I had our first ghost experience there. So that definitely works for me.
Yeah.
So my week, just to say real quick, I am using How to Write a Novel. But I'm using it differently than a beginner would go through the How to Write a Novel course. So the way that I'm using it is, in my mind, never stop learning. Like if you stop learning, it's because you're dead. I think that you should, I think you should always be learning. So I'm using it as like just looking through a new way to do things. And I love the way that you have people create characters because I'm so used to the way that I create my characters.
Mm-hmm.
But character creation for me has never exactly been a lot of fun. Like the stories, if I interview characters, that's a lot of fun. But I have not really always enjoyed creating the characters. It's always felt like a chore. Like, okay, like there's this list that you have to write down and you cover that in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it was an eye-opening experience because it's like you realize, okay, well, I don't have to do it this way. Even though that's common freaking sense, it still opened my eyes and I was like, oh, okay. So I did the characters your way. And I gotta say, it leaves a lot of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And my muse was ecstatic because when the character creation lesson popped up, immediately I could feel that creative right side of my brain going, oh God, okay, all right, well, it's a necessity. But when I did it, it's so light and yet so content filled. It's taking out all the shit that doesn't freaking matter.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know some of the other stuff, but you can discover that while you're writing.
Exactly.
And it worked because I'm already up to lesson 5 or 6.
Awesome.
Because again, I have the entire course. I had it in my up to what you're writing,
Mm-hmm.
because I added it to my account once you had created it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I am up to whatever lesson you've let out or
Mm-hmm.
released.
That would be 32.
Yeah, so close to finish. That's amazing.
Oh yeah.
So, I've gone through everything. I've done the plot or the artifact, and the artifact surprised me because I thought I was going to make something smaller.
Mm-hmm.
But the artifact turned out to be a house.
Nice.
It was surprising. So I started putting all of this detail in, and immediately my muse started like that whole jumping up and down thing. And I was able to pull a story from the early to mid 2000s.
Really?
Yeah, it was something. It was a screenplay originally. Then I wanted to make it a short story. Then I wanted to make it a novel because there was so much there, and it has kept coming back to me over and over again, and until I kind of just forgot about it. And it was called The House on Andrews Ave, and now, I mean, it might still be called the House on Andrews Ave. I don't know, but it's going to be in Fulton Hills, and everything just kind of meshed together. And I was so freaking excited. And then I wrote, like, and this is really weird for me. I haven't plotted yet, and I don't do that. But I'm following the lessons right now. I might mix and match. And again, this is taking the How to Write a Novel course
as someone who's already written novels.
Yes,
Yes.
and has about 20-something years experience writing, 20, almost 25. So,
Yeah.
quarter of a century, good Lord.
Yeah, well, you started early.
Yes, I did. Yes. So when I started writing, I already had the basis of the antagonist done, but I didn't have like this full out bio, and I didn't have, like this long sheet and all this shit. And I really did start figuring things out as you're writing, like the description of her kids. They come out naturally. You don't have to put all that crap in there.
Right.
And then you can guess, like, okay, well, if her kid looks like this, and she's saying, well, you got daddy's hair, then she doesn't look like that. And it gives more range for people to envision the characters in their head as whatever they want.
Yes.
But two, because I didn't fill her with all of this stuff, and I followed your lesson, when I was writing the scene, and she's an antagonist, and she starts the very first scene of the book, and her motivations for the rest of the book totally became absolutely 100% clear.
Wow.
Yeah, and I knew she was an antagonist. I knew, like, she's kind of a bully in a way, or she was in high school, and just during that one scene with her kids in the morning and everything, I found out exactly why she does what she does, why she treats people the way she does, and why she is an antagonist, and the entire book, why she needs the help of the paranormal society, but is also the bane of their existence during the book.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing. I've never had a moment quite like that. I've had a lot of great moments and stuff, just as good, sometimes better, but for a single character without having written a bio in the very first scene that you meet them, that was amazing. And each book starts off with the haunting as a prologue, so that's why the antagonist gets the very first scene of the book. I know it's not,
That's nice, though.
Yeah.
That is really nice. And yeah, I have discovered over the years that if you let your characters show you who they are, you just kind of get out of their way and let them show you. They will. And right away, too, man.
Yeah. The words flowed so easily. And I mean, and that's also, a lot of that is experience, and a lot of that is already having, a certain amount of control over the left side of my brain. So I have a lot of control over the inner critic, which is something that you get with experience.
It helps.
Yeah. But it was a great first scene, and I know I'm gonna have weeks where it's not so great, but it was eye-opening, and it definitely changes the way from now on I do characters, because if I can do so little pre-work on a character and have the character so bold and so already developed on the page, and already coming out and telling me who she is and why she does this and why I give a shit about her, even as an antagonist, that's powerful.
Cool.
So I had a fantastic week, got through a whole bunch of lessons, so I think, like I said, I think I'm on 6 or 7.
Damn. Yeah, you burned through.
Yeah. Well, it is too, the, fact that I have more experience. So some of the lessons were easier for me to handle or for me to do. Plus I have more time than I think your average student would.
Well, yeah, that's also true.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of works out well for both of us, because I'm really interested to see what you're doing with this.
Yeah, I'm excited. So anyway, that's the first little bit for Fulton Hills. that I am publicly, like I've never shared Fulton Hills before, and it feels nice to have you and a whole group of people behind me while I write this.
Yes.
It's special. So yeah, it's cool to be sharing this with the podcast because I've always been so secretive about Fulton Hills.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's get to the point of today's episode. It is
Okay.
how to write middles. So if you haven't, first and foremost, if you haven't listened to how to write beginnings, you probably want to do that. I know it's a longish episode, but it is last week's, and that's the lesson. That's the first of this, I guess, 3-parter. Should be 3 parts unless we think of something else to add in. So let's get to how to write middles.
All right. First, let's talk about what middles are. Middles are, for most writers, the bane of their existence, in which after you come out strong with this great story idea, you hit the middle and everything dies. You're sitting there, you're going, oh my God, I can't think of anything for them to do next. So
Even when you plot it out.
Oh yeah?
Even when you plot it out.
Yeah, if you have, God knows, I wrote entire, not just line for scene outline, but short scene for long scene outlines, what's called an extended outline. And I would get to the middle and my ass would just be dragging. It's like, I cannot possibly make myself do this.
It's like climbing a mountain.
Yeah. And there are ways that you get around that. And there are ways that you can make the middle something that you just can't wait to get up and do the next day. Or that morning you roll out of bed going, hot shit, I get to go work on the middle again.
So wait. It's like running a marathon on crack instead of running a marathon healthy.
Yeah, there you go.
Because the people who run the marathon, they say they hit a wall. There's that wall, and usually it's in the 20s, the late 20s of the yeah.
Right.
So
yeah, you're doing this all amped up.
Yeah, you got a little nitrous in you.
Yes. So yeah, you don't have to hate the middle, but to not hate the middle, you have to get past the obstacles that make middles suck so badly when you're trying to write them. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today is, well, what are those obstacles? And then how do you get past them?
I have a question.
Sure.
What are those obstacles and how do you get past them?
Okay. Smart ass. Okay, well, weak middles. The biggest obstacle with middles is that the majority of them are thought through very weakly. You go into a story with one idea, and a weak middle continues with only that one idea. For example, all right, you are writing your romance, and the idea is that the male protagonist and the female protagonist have an obstacle between them. And that obstacle is his ex-wife or something. I don't know, okay? So then you hit the middle, and all you can think of is more problems with the ex-wife. But that's okay for short story. If you're writing longer, you can't just have them at the same point for 500 pages. They can't be having the same struggle for 500 pages. It has to move past, okay, well, yeah, the ex-wife was the first obstacle. But then, turns out the ex-wife is pregnant, and she says the baby is his. And he's denying it all to everything. But no, she says, no, it's your baby. And he's going, it can't be. And she's going, yes, it can.
Well, that's a horrible example. That's boring as hell to me. But yeah, I had a problem. And I feel like the leaving Wanda Lucia, that was one of the problems that I hit when I first wrote that. Glass House, that was one of the problems that I hit when I wrote it. Now with leaving Wanda Lucia, I think that the male protagonists conflict was a little weak.
Mm-hmm.
So if I might be changing that. I might, if I get it back and, they want edits or something like that, I might kind of bring that up a little bit, maybe give him something else. Because in looking back and after having written the second book with Brock and Angie, I was like, oh, I could do that so much better.
Right.
But that was one of the middle problems that I hit. In Glass House, the only real obstacle I had them both facing was the house. But they're such rich characters and they have problems of their own besides the house that I completely neglected to add those conflicts in as well. So the more you go through how to revise your novel, or the more you write and the better you get, the more you start seeing these problems too.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely hit the middle. We need a name for it, the middle mountain or whatever.
Yeah.
On both of those.
Right. And that was, by the way, a very nice example. Yes.
Thank you.
It's just that there is not enough. So you want to look for ways to give your character more problems related to and building from an existing problem. The thing that popped into my mind with the example that I gave was that it turns out that she is pregnant with his baby, but it was from sperm she had stored. Bingo. And
that bitch.
Yes, she's evil. She is absolutely. I have no idea who this woman is. This stuff just popped straight out of my head, and all of a sudden, I hate this woman who doesn't exist.
Well, and this is cool too, because this shows you, like, you build a character into a corner, and you automatically start asking yourself, okay, well, how can this be possible?
Mm-hmm.
And you answer it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, whatever corner you build them into, there's an answer for it.
Yeah. So. And then because my mind is still on this thing, he says, no, that cannot possibly be mine. And so then she says, well, yes, it is. And here's how it happened, and lies about how it happened. And he can prove, because of the date, he can prove that he was not where she says he was at the time she said he was. But the sperm thing comes back, so then they call in the sperm bank guy who has to testify, and this gets really,
dear God.
Oh my God, yes, this just got ugly and blew up and all sorts of weird shit.
This sounds like a soap opera episode.
It does a little bit.
like not an episode, but like the whole thread, it just keeps going for like a year.
Yes, until one of them shoots the other one and somebody doesn't quite die, but it gets really bloody and horrible.
Yeah, there's amnesia or something.
Amnesia. Yes. Oh, God. So anyway, okay, so that one idea has to feed into other related but different ideas. And that's the demo for that. Now, weak middles also only have one emotional tone. And in the thing that I have just demonstrated, there is at that point only one emotional tone.
Yeah.
We have evil bitch ex-wife and beleaguered husband. Okay, so to make the middle not suck, you have to know that there are days when you go in to work and you get to write something funny, or you get to write something sweet and romantic, or you get to write something that isn't this evil woman who is trying to break up a relationship. She doesn't want the guy back. She just wants to... Yeah, she just wants to be the spoiler who really ruins the relationship he has. And so... Good God, this thing keeps writing itself in my head. This isn't even my kind of thing.
No.
Not even a little bit. But so you give it a funny storyline where the guy and the woman that he wants to marry were trying to build a business together. They wanted to make their own homemade candy. And that's sweet, right?
Yeah, it's very sweet.
Yes, and not just because it's candy. It's because they want to do this.
No, it's
together.
homemade, and it's they're working together on it, and like it made me think of when Tony and I were making candles at the house that we were going to sell on Etsy, but they just didn't come out that great.
Yeah.
But he's so creative. He does candles and he does etching, and he knit some hats for me with the looms. And that's what it makes me feel like. So it's like I can relate to that part.
Right. It's where you and your guy enjoy each other's company so much that you just want to be together and do stuff together and figure out how to make that pay. And I'm there, so then you bring that part of this different emotional tone to what you're doing.
Yeah, because you're lightening it up so it's not all of this soap opera-y drama.
Right.
You're also bringing in, you're showing the point. First of all, you're showing why the reader should care about the two characters, because you're seeing this beautiful side of both of them. And you see how well they work together and how much they want to spend their time, not just, their off time, but their working time together.
That they just want to be together.
Yeah.
And they are figuring out how to do that. And then there is the spoiler in the background who's trying to destroy that, just to destroy it, just to be the person who doesn't want to see this ex of hers ever happy. So then, the third thing that weak middles struggle from is that characters are passive, that they have things happen to them, that it is written from the point of view not of an active, vigorous, dedicated, focused character who has a desire and a direction and is pushing forward and working towards something or fighting towards something or whatever. It's written from the point of view of a person who is sitting there as things happen around them. And this, you read a lot of first work, you read a lot of beginner work, and this is a common thing. That writers write the character who isn't doing the stuff. And
I can see kind of the mentality of it is that you think that, all of this crap happens to my character. And that makes sense. But there's got to be a reason that it's happening to them.
Right.
Like, they have to take part in it and make a choice. And the choice might have been the one you would have made as the reader. But, oh, shit, it ended up causing more problems.
Right.
Something like that.
Right. And also the character has to have done something initially to make it happen.
To be a part of it.
To be a part of it from the very beginning.
A really good example is Arhel.
Yeah.
Is Fea?
Arhel, yeah. Because because she was kind of a victim in that when she got home from going out of town, taking the sheep up to the mountain, she got the feeling something was wrong. She headed home. She got home, discovered this horrible situation.
It was terrifying. I mean, because when she left, she saw this guy on the road. And, she went to do the sheep thing, felt like something was wrong, came home, and it turned out that he not that he was a bad guy.
Right.
He was a sick guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody's dead. And it was absolutely horrifying when you read it because it was a plague, And that's why I'm saying, like, your writing was great even back then because you definitely got the feeling of everything. But yeah, so something happened, but she took action.
She did. She took so much action that she tanked the magic in the magic city, the center of magic on her little island. On her big-ish England-sized island. Yes. She tanked the magic. It just stopped working because she used up so much of it at once in her rage and fury and not setting any sort of limits on what she was doing, and melted what was left of the village in sort of a funeral pyre kind of thing.
Yeah. terrifying her, the only other survivor of the sickness.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, but yeah, that was her taking action, and it was a massive action, and it was relatable, and it's what got her involved in everything else. So you can have something happen to a character that they didn't take action like to cause. Like, I think that's how most books start, is something happens that they don't start.
Right.
And then it's how they respond.
Right. And it was, she was active even in the very beginning, in that she was really glad to be getting out of town.
Yeah, she was leaving.
Yes, everybody else was doing weaving and sewing and stuff, and she detested that. She liked to be out in the outdoors and taking the sheep up to the pasture. And
so let me ask a question.
Yeah.
Is that her being active, but it wasn't her making an actively different decision, because she always took the sheep?
Right.
Or the herd. She's always the one that takes the herd. So it wasn't anything different.
No.
But she was active in the beginning. It's just, it wasn't like an active choice that sets the book up.
Right.
Right?
Right. No, she was supposed to go up there, and the two guys who also, for their families, took sheep. Yeah. We're going up to the pasture too, and they had their plans, and then they didn't show up. And that was when she
Now,
knew
her
something was
action
wrong.
did keep her alive.
Right. She was a little earlier leaving.
Yeah.
Just by, maybe a couple of days, but...
Well, yeah, because she saw the guy walking on the road,
right.
So he was there.
Yeah, and she was just lucky she didn't catch it from that little passing thing. But what happened was that her mom took him in and tried to nurse him back to health, and caught it first, and then everybody else caught it. Yeah.
So back to the middles. What's next? So you're talking about passive choice,
Passive, right?
Yeah.
Passive is when your character is having things happen to them that they did not do something to bring to fruition. They had it just sort of shit is raining on their heads, and they're victims. And that doesn't create a story. That doesn't create a narrative.
So taking the same example, let's say Arhel and Fea.
Yeah.
Let's say she doesn't take this action, doesn't set everything on fire and drain the magic from the world. She just, she's there, everybody's dead, and then the government comes in because it was a plague and tries to quarantine everything and takes her and the one survivor and locks them up. And they're in there and locked up, and things keep happening like that,
right? Where
she's not taking any action to do anything. I think that at first it might be a little bit interesting to see, how badly this can turn. But if the character isn't doing something,
right,
you lose interest as a reader. You're just reading this stuff and you're wondering, you're sitting there frustrated and angry and like, okay, when is she gonna fucking do something?
Right.
Right. And again, like you're saying, that creates such a weak middle that you don't know where to go, and it becomes this kind of frustration on your end as well.
Exactly. And it's a frustration for someone who's trying to read it too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah,
some books actually get published like this.
Yes.
And it's very frustrating to read, especially with romances. The less expensive ones, the smaller ones. When you read them, it's constantly stuff happening to the girl, and you're supposed to feel bad. But you end up being frustrated because you're like, bitch, do something. You understand to a certain extent because, life happens to everybody. But you're reading a book. There's shit all the time that shit happens to people that you don't want it to happen to you. That's not why you read.
No, you have to own the thing. You have to say, okay, well, God damn it, yes, I was in an earthquake, and I'm going to get my ass out of bed this morning, and I'm going to go and clean up rubble.
Yeah.
I am not going to sit there and complain and rock back and forth and be, because, that for me,
You
that
get a
isn't
certain amount
actual-
of time where you can do that.
Yeah.
Because that's a traumatizing event. But
But I pull that from my own experience because I was in the Guatemala earthquake in 1976.
yeah.
And we were 12 miles from the epicenter. And we woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning with my sisters in my bed slamming back and forth into opposite walls together. And she was sleeping through it. She was just fucking sound asleep.
Well, she could do that.
Yeah, she could sleep
She
through
could sleep.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, clearly. Because
Yeah, if
it
she slept
sounded
through that major earthquake.
Yeah, it sounded like the end of the world. It sounded like a train was on top of you. And every animal in Chiquimula was screaming. You could hear roosters and horses, and there were a lot of cows and everything. Everything
Terrifying.
was doing its version of a scream, and people were screaming. And I grabbed her and dragged her out of bed and dragged her to the door with the beds slamming back and forth from wall to wall in this roar of the earth moving. And the fucking wind lock on the outside of the door, which kept these little screen doors from slamming open and shut because it was an open corridor in this adobe house, had fallen down. So I yelled and my mom came and unlocked the door and I dragged my sister out. And we got out of the house and waited, and the ground eventually stopped moving. And then there were these aftershocks for days. But we got up the next morning and we started cleaning up the mess.
Good God. Yeah. Man, well, especially with your parents, you probably, after they stopped being so cool and started being super lame, you probably had like no time to like just kind of chill. It was probably like, nope, time for work.
Well, no, that was just I needed to do something. I needed to move. I couldn't.
Oh, I understand that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was, and oh God, that was weird because I mean we got back to the United States. Their jobs died at that point. And then
Damn.
we got sent. We went back to the United States, which was great.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Really good. And I ended up at about a mile from a strip mine. And you were using dynamite to strip mine. And I was sound asleep on the couch, and the dynamite from the strip mine struck the floor just a little bit, shook the floor just a little bit. And I was outside in Ohio in the winter in my bare feet before I even realized what had happened. And it was like, what, 6-7 months later, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. With like the difference between the passive and the active during the middle, like, but you're talking about throughout the entire book, right?
Right.
In the beginnings as well.
Right.
Beginning, middle.
At the beginning, in the middle, the character, your main character, must be active. I mean, there can be times when the character is physically constrained, if that's necessary, that is locked up in a prison or something. But the character cannot be sitting there whining or waiting. The character has to be plotting and planning and looking for angles and thinking about ways to get out of this and looking for any possibility and coming up with plans and trying plans.
Like the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yes. Oh, that was a great book. I loved that book.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, that was wonderful. It really was. So, okay, so then there is one other thing. Weak middles live off stage. And what this means is that you have people who are sitting in a room talking about what they did yesterday. Okay, instead of being yesterday and them doing it.
I had a lot of problems with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is mind-numbingly common, and I had a ton of problems with that too. That was where my much too much exposition thing came from, was people talking about what had happened previously rather than just doing the thing that they were talking about.
Yeah, I read your, so I must be on lesson 7, because that was lesson 6, right? The ED problem.
Okay, now I don't know, because I'm on lesson 33 now. And
Oh,
lesson
right.
6
So you're
was
so far
way
out of
back
it
in
right
the
now.
past. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was, you were telling the story about the Quakers in space.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's them.
Yeah. And I actually learned from that the Quaker Oats guy was literally a Quaker. I had no idea. Never had no I just had no idea why it was. I thought that was just a brand name. So learn something every day. But the story that you had, it was basically world building. You had world built and then you had sent it in as a story.
Yes.
So no wonder there was so much exposition. And you even asked, like, what's wrong with what you've read so far? And I was like, oh, this is the problem. And you scroll down and, yep, that's the problem.
Right.
That was funny. But yeah, so too much of yesterday, what happened yesterday. And I used to have a big problem with that because it's not even just characters sitting around talking. It can be a character thinking, like, actively doing something. But the interesting thing, it happened previously and they're thinking about it while they're doing something else. Well, that show.
Right. Just
the
write
action.
the interesting thing as it's happening.
Yeah.
Yes. and oh my God, I had the worst time learning that.
Yeah. It's hard.
It is.
For some reason, it is a difficult thing to realize that you're messing up.
Yeah. Because it seems like, hey, wow, I'm thinking, okay, I am sitting in my head right now with my hands on the keyboard, and I'm thinking about something interesting that's happening. So therefore, that must be interesting. No.
Yeah. You want to see it happen. You want to be there as it happens.
Exactly.
As a reader. Yeah.
And honest to God. So, and I will still occasionally catch myself doing that.
See, now that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Because I did that with a lot of the glass house. I was wrapping stuff up and I would catch myself and I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
This is showing, not telling. Come on, get with it.
Right. Right. And that is what showing, not telling means.
Yeah, we have a whole episode on that too.
Well,
if
that's
anybody,
true.
You know, if you want, you can go back.
Yeah. But for folks who haven't gotten that yet, that is the quick sum up right there. If they're sitting there thinking about something cool that happened yesterday, fix that. All right, so now strong middles, therefore, run several ideas. And it really helps if you do this little exercise that I like, which is, okay, let's give them something bad that happens. Give me something bad that could happen to a character.
Hey guys, this is Rebecca. I just wanted to take a quick moment to go over something that we have mentioned many times on the podcast, but often at the end. And we have a lot of people messaging me on Facebook and saying things like, well, I didn't know how to get in touch with you. You can create an absolutely 100% free account at hollyswritingclasses.com. There's no sales pitches all over the place. There's no advertisement. There's not invasive marketing. Holly is very much against all of that crap. She has created a community of people who are there that are supporting other writers. And it's always been important to her. Back in the 90s when she had created, 80s and 90s when she had created a writer's group, and then the 90s and the early 2000s when she was doing forward motion, and then she has, get so many free articles on hollylyle.com. That's hollylisle.com. There's so many free writing articles on there as well. And this podcast, 100% free. There's no obligation to support us, and we do appreciate the people who do support us. But I wanted to let you know that there are other free things available. There's free support. You go into the hollyswritingclasses.com, you create your free account, and you have tons of other writers. Some of them are at your level, some of them might be below your level, some of them might be above your level, and we're all there. It's a community to help. And as well, I wanted to mention that if you join hollyswritingclasses.com, you get a free class. It is a free flash fiction course. I know we've mentioned this before, but again, we mention this stuff at the end, and I know that a lot of people, as soon as they hear, oh, I guess that's the end of our episode, well, they're going to click off and go to the next thing. It's understandable. I just wanted to let you guys know there is a free course. So by the end of the course, if you do the work, you have something that you can sell. You can start making money without spending anything. It is how to write flash fiction that does not suck. It is a 3-week course. I have used it. I have sold stuff. My mother has obviously, she used it to prove the point that, you can do this. Other people have used it. And I am creating something now, as a matter of fact, to prove under a name, my own name, that I have not used RM Galardo. I'm creating a flash fiction course to show people that, yes, you can actually sell flash fiction using this course. And it is free. 100% free. You get it when you join, and you get the community. There's no obligation to buy any courses or anything like that. Obviously, if you want to support Holly and you want to support your own writing career, she has a shop. But give the site a shot, because it's not invasive ads. We don't constantly email you with a whole bunch of marketing stuff. You can actually sign up for different emails that you want to receive from Holly if you're interested in her other courses and stuff. There's really nothing like this out there in the internet as far as I know. So I just wanted to take a minute in the middle of this podcast to let you guys know about yet more free stuff that you can get from Holly. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the podcast. Something bad that happened to a character. Something bad that happens to a character. I'll take something from this morning. So I was giving Thea and Ollie catnip, but let's just say that a character bought catnip from a weird new age store and gives the catnip to the cat, and it's acting like it normally would, going crazy, and then something strange happens to the cat. So what could that be? Maybe it's got some sort of, it can talk, or
nice.
It can talk, and maybe it starts growing bigger and it's hungry.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay, so it gets bigger. It gets bigger and chatty.
Yeah, and hungry.
And hungry.
Feed me, human, now.
Feed me, human, now. Yes.
No dry food.
Okay.
No wet food.
So then you build off of that. Okay, so now you have a talking cat that's bigger and a little demanding, as cats can be.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it fits.
Yes.
But it wants raw meat. It doesn't want the cat food anymore. And now that it can talk, it can express that it's not happy with your previous choices in cat food.
Okay, so your budget just got screwed. So now you have to do something to make money to feed the cat.
So it doesn't eat you.
So it doesn't eat you. And so then, but the cat does love you. So
you hope.
Yes. Well, because it's one of your guys. It's one of your little sweet little.
Yeah. Well, I just always remember Matt saying that if it was reversed, that if the cat was the bigger one and you were the tiny thing, that the cat would eat you.
Well,
which I was always saying, no, that's not true.
No, it depends on the cat.
Yes, and the relationship you have with it. Yeah.
Right. That's people who have tigers and raise tigers. The tigers do not eat them, and the tigers weigh 600 pounds, and the people weigh about maybe 150, 200. So no, that's it. It depends on the relationship you have. But but then
now you have this cat that So I guess you'd have to just find out all the different problems you could have. Yeah. With a magic.
Right, with a magic talking cat. Obviously, you own YouTube at this point. Because you put your cat on YouTube and show. Yeah.
And then the government's going to come and take your kitty.
Yeah, they might do that. Okay, so then you have to deal with the government. And then the cat has to break out of the government, and you have to figure out how to help him do that. And, and then he does eat somebody, which is going to cause some problems.
Yep.
Okay, so that is, I know that's a really goofy demo, but that is that strong middles run on several ideas, not just, this thing happens. But this thing happens, and this thing causes consequences that make this other thing happen, and these three other things off in other directions happen, like the main character falls in love with a government agent who starts then working to help
hide the cat.
Yeah. And and then something else happens where one of the neighbors hates her, and so the neighbor becomes a spy for the government, and so then all of these other pieces come together, and move your story forward in a lot of different ways so that the reader is constantly wondering, wow, what's going to happen next?
Yeah, and you can still throw in there like they're trying to find, they want to turn the cat back, so they're trying to find the New Age store, but it's disappeared, so they're trying to find the owner, they're trying to find any information there to see if they can help reverse it or what the fuck was in that shit. And then maybe also she is employed and has to pay for her rent, so she still has to go to work, she still has to, or she has issues with work. You know, there's a lot of different ways that you can complicate this poor woman's
Yes,
life.
she could fix a lot of those issues at work by having a take your cat to work day.
Yeah, probably.
Where I'm seeing myself in that position now. Yeah.
It would be that now. See, that would be hilarious, and it would be a really good way to kind of relate with retail, because I've dealt with retail before. It would be a really cool way to, because managers never care. They don't care if you're sick. They don't care if there's 7 feet of snow. It's so you're coming in today. So.
Yes.
So, hey, I'm coming in. Here's my cat. And the cat's this big, hungry, talking cat. There would be the one time when the manager's like, you know what? Take a week off. It's cool.
Paid.
Yeah.
Paid.
Yeah.
We're going to pay you to stay away.
We'll just count this as extra holiday pay. You've been a good worker. You earned it.
Yes.
Said no retail manager ever.
Yes. Oh, man. Okay, so, and with that moves us very neatly to the next point. Strong middles run the emotional gamut, where you've got the funny parts with Take Your Cat to Work Day, where you've got the scary parts where they're hiding from government agents who are coming after them, where you've got the romantic parts where this one government agent and she are falling in love, where you've got, so you're bringing all different angles of human experience into one story.
You gotta have the cat lady moments too.
Oh yeah, you gotta
have those.
Yes, yeah. Where she and her big weird cat are cuddling, and he's trying to sit on her lap, and he's really too big.
That's what I was gonna say. Or he does the head butting.
Oh,
and his head is huge and it hurts.
Yeah.
And he wants to lick her face, but he's literally licking her entire face. You know, there's so much humor and sweetness in that.
Yeah.
And it's all that's relatable and stuff too.
And you have that cat. You have that enormous cuddly wants to hug you. Oh, you actually have two of them.
Yeah, I have. Thea's big, but and you know she's a big old lady now. She's on a diet. But the then you have also got where he wants to play, but he's too big. You know, so there's this sweet sadness to it too, and I think that builds up to he just wants to be a regular cat again. Yeah. So it gives you that extra motivation to, okay, well, we need to fix this. There's so much with that story, like you're saying. It's got all of the emotions.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And my mind goes immediately to tragedy. So I'm going to back off from that because that is a fun story right there, right now. I like that. Okay.
We don't need your Disney Bambi stuff.
Yeah, none of my Disney Bambi. Good God. Okay, so that is strong middles live in action. And again, the little demo that we put together here has people doing things, has the cat doing things, has the cat having its own agency in what it wants to do, in what it wants to be, and being able to tell its owner, this isn't what I want to be.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that is...
Don't cry.
No, that is kind of sweet and heartbreaking in its own way, that the cat knows this isn't what it wants. It wants to be a cat.
Yeah.
It wants to be a little cat.
It wants to be what it was before because it wasn't almost killing its owner, just wanting to play.
Yeah.
You know? And I like that too because it goes back to that, you know, we shouldn't be messing with nature. There's that sort of undercurrent that, you know, the genetically modified animals and all this other stuff. It can kind of go with that if that's what you believe. Mm-hmm. So it just depends on how you want to bring it across.
Right. There are a multitude of different ways to tell the story.
Yeah, and like you say, 100 different people could write the same story. and have 100 different tones, 100 different voices, 100 different, it could turn into a fable for somebody. It can turn into like a horror story for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You went to tragedy. I went to super fucking happy ending, like that was my thing, was immediately it's just a happy ending.
So that takes us then, we've done the live in action thing. Strong middles happen on stage. And again, this is taking that weak middles live off stage thing where you are having your character think about what they did yesterday and then moving the scene to yesterday and writing it as it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's a good example too, because I would hate to have any of this happen off stage, because if let's say the government agent came back to whatever cave or whatever house that they're hiding in, and he tells her what happened, what he snuck out, oh, I snuck these out. No, I want to see the action of him almost getting caught. And she tells him, oh, the cat tried to play with me today and almost swiped my face off. No, you want to be there and see it because you're going to feel it that way.
Right. And that is a very good demo for why some stories have to be told from 2 points of view. If you have 2 characters who have to be in different places at different times doing different things that are mission essential, you have to be able to show from those 2 different points of view. It is one of the things that makes it very challenging writing Cadence Drake, because Cadence Drake is a single point of view thing. And there are times when it is very tempting to want to get inside Herrig's head, or inside of Stormrat's head, or inside of Wire's head, and to write from those different points of view. And I have to figure out how to show the scenes from Katie's point of view, because that particular thing, it is essentially a hard-boiled detective in space. And those are always told from the point of view of a detective.
The pro is that it's easier to hide things from the reader, but the con is that it is very difficult to show certain things.
Right. And, every kind of writing has its own unique challenges. If you are writing multiple points of view, it is in not losing track of your multiple points of view, in keeping people in the right places at the right times, in not having time-lapse desynchronization, in not making impossible things happen, and in not breaking characters and not breaking your suspense by showing things you really, really needed to keep hidden.
Yeah.
When you're writing a hard-boiled detective and you've got the one point of view, that's easy to hide stuff. It is hard to show stuff.
Yeah.
So, there are 5 essential things you want to stay focused on. Number 1 is you have your character try many solutions to the story problem. And the easiest way to do this is to focus on hurting your character by having the character try things and having them not work, and having them not work in interesting and occasionally exploding fashion. So this is where I have a lot of fun writing my books, is I have characters who are working very hard to get out of their problems, and things don't work, and things don't work in interesting ways. And this is where you have to be a little mean. You cannot be kind to a character if you are a novelist. You want to because you like your characters, at least the ones you don't want to kill off.
Yeah.
And even them. But even them. But you cannot be kind. You have to be mean. You have to
I was reading a book, Darcy something, Craven Manor by Darcy Coates, I think. Mm-hmm. It's a haunted house story, and the main character, he basically gets this job as a groundskeeper for a mansion that seems to be abandoned, and I just wanted him to be able to just be the groundskeeper because he'd had a rough enough life. He seemed happy there, and I was like, oh, I could read this forever, sort of, but not. I just wanted him to be happy, and I realized that's good writing. If if when you're reading, you're happy to see the character happy.
Yes.
And you don't want something bad to happen to the character.
Yes. Yes. And you know it's going to, but you still want him to be okay. And you will hang in with this character you love as a reader through awful things happening just because you want him to be okay. And at the end, you really need for him to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the writer wants you to come back for the next book, you really have to give the reader a bone, hand him that little piece of cake at the end of the thing where, okay, this has been horrible and he's suffered so much, but hey, he got the girl, he got the job, he got the job done, and now he has his own little paid for groundskeeper cabin, and he just, all he has to do now is just keep the grounds and it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Pretty much. That's but there's no romance involved, which I liked. But the book was really, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It was, and I liked the character. And that's the thing, is like, if you can make a character likable, and it could have been also some of it I was related, I felt related to the character, or I felt I could relate to the character in certain aspects. Mm-hmm. But if you can make the character, if you can make the reader not want anything bad to happen to your character, even though that's the point of the book,
right?
You're doing well.
Right. That is exactly it.
So you have to be mean. Yeah,
you have to be mean, but make the person you're being mean to someone that you don't want to be mean to.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have to be really mean to the antagonist that I created. And at first I was fine with it because she was a bully, but now I don't. Now I feel bad because I know her motivations. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be mean to the antagonist.
And that's the way it needs to be. You need to be writing characters you care about. So this is a really screwed up job. It is. Yes. Because you have to create people you love, and then you have to hurt them on the way to giving them the thing that they want at the end. And if you dislike your characters, your readers will too.
Yeah. And sometimes it's okay to dislike certain characters, mm-hmm. but it's better if there is a little bit of, a little bit of likable in even bad guys.
Right. Right. That is a huge thing to keep in mind. One of my bad guys in the Matron series, not the biggest of the bad guys, ended up letting the good guys go when he knew he could have gotten them. He let them go in order to save his daughter. And saving his daughter cost him everything, but she survived. And his enemies survived. And if he had gone the other way, his enemies would have died, but she would have died too. And these were two separate things, and he had to choose. And in that moment
made for a really powerful moment. Yeah. And you understood his motivation at the end was a good one.
Right.
And that's kind of the cool thing about putting a little bit of humanity even in your evil characters.
Yeah, because he was a genuinely bad guy. But there was this moment in which he was redeemed because he made a choice to save something rather than to destroy something. And in saving something, he saved a lot of other somethings too. It just happened to work out that way, but he saved what mattered to him. And that's always the right choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else is there?
Number 2 is make sure that most solution attempts fail. And you want to do these in order from as best you can while you're writing. You can always fix it in revision from least attempt to biggest attempt prior to the one that works. Your character has to be trying harder, getting smarter, doing bigger, better things, and these bigger, better, smarter things still don't work. And
so the first for the cat, the first option would be wait it out. Nothing happens.
Right.
And then you keep trying different things until, let's say that the government has found the catnip stash that she had at her house and stuff, and they take it and they're trying to recreate it. And the government agent sees it and kind of figures if you can reverse it, you got the antidote. But they've already created what they could, the reverse of it. So he steals the antidote and gives it to the cat, and something else bad happens. So let's say that the cat gets even bigger.
Right. So then what do? And, obviously for that, the what you do is going to be, somehow you're going to have to find and track down this magic shop and the magic owner somehow. And that somehow is going to involve government agents and people being changed into cats or some weird ass
something
thing.
Really weird. Yeah.
Yes. But the thing that finally works, the last thing you try, has to be the biggest, baddest, scariest, most dangerous thing of all. And that thing will be the thing that works. It can't be an easy solution. Oh my God, all we had to do was plug that in? Really?
Yeah. Or we found the lady and she had the antidote on her, or she had the magic, pill that fixes it. Oh, you bought the catnip without the catnip whatever, the thing that's supposed to go with it. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Without the cat toy?
Yeah.
No. Right. No, there are no easy answers in fiction. If you just gave somebody an easy solution, that is a fail. It has to be a hard solution. It has to be something they worked for and bled for and cried for and crawled across broken glass, dragging themselves by their lips for, to get to the thing that is finally going to work. And when it works, the reader's going, yes, yes, yes. Oh, please, yes, 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 yes. Let this work, yes. And then it does. And you win, and the reader wins, and the cat wins.
Yeah, the cat wins. That's the important part.
Yes, you have saved the cat. All right. So, and that does say that covered number 3 too, which is hurt your MC, your main character, in some way with each failure. Each failure has to mark your character in some way. Has to leave a bruise, has to leave a scar, and it doesn't have to be a physical scar, but it has to be, how am I going to move on from this? Okay, number 4. You let your MC learn something from each failure that directs towards the next attempted solution. And this is, okay, well, we tried planting catnip seeds and they won't grow in dirt. Can't do that. Okay. We tried just boiling a little bit of the catnip in water and trying to feed that to the cat. We tried locating the store. We tried this thing and that thing. And every single thing you think, okay, well, if this didn't work, maybe this next thing, which is based on what I know from these previous things, maybe this next idea will be better. And the next idea needs to be better. It just doesn't need to be right yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and you raise the stakes with each failure. And that was what you were talking about. Well, okay, we did get this government version of the catnip, and we gave it to the cat, and it just made the cat bigger.
Yeah, it was the government's first attempt to get the antidote, because they want to be able to control whether, what happens.
Right.
So, of course, the government would have something that is doing the opposite. But, yeah, apparently that didn't work.
Right, exactly. And now the cat has hands and can light matches and turns out to be a bit of a fire starter. And, yeah, I've done that before, I know. But have you ever seen a cat sitting looking at an open flame?
Yeah.
They're going, man, I could do something with that if I just had thumbs.
Yeah, it always makes me nervous when we light candles in the house because I accidentally have had 2 cats' tails catch on fire in my life.
Yeah. Well,
Beezer was the first one.
God, yes. So that is what you do with your middles. And I don't really have anything extra to add to that. Do you?
No, was that the takeaway?
No, that was not the takeaway.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I think middles are just, they're so difficult if you don't plan enough conflict. But if you're planning enough conflict on either end, it makes it a lot easier. And I learned I guess you just keep learning this and you keep getting better at it, because the second book in the Wanda Lucia series was so much easier because I knew I had all of these different conflict levels, going on.
Right.
That it became harder to write less.
Yeah. Yeah, and this does become second nature. This does not make you bulletproof. You can be writing forever and ever and ever and still do dumbass things in your book. The advantage of having written forever and ever and ever is when you go back through and revision, you'll spot them. You'll go, oh my God, I actually have her sitting at the table drinking tea thinking about what she did yesterday? What the fuck? Why did I do that? No. And then you fix it. But you don't recognize these as massive errors when you're first starting out, but you do after you've been doing it for a while. So this does, even when you screw up, it does get easier to fix it.
And sometimes you can catch it while you're writing the scene too. Yeah, like, wait a minute.
Yes,
that's not right.
This is a tip off. My character is sitting at a table with a beverage. Or my character is standing in a shower daydreaming. Or my character is sitting on a front porch on a swing rocking back and forth.
Yeah, I had one scene that I don't think I cut from Leaving Wanda Lucia where she's on the back of a bike. With the love interest driving her home, and she was thinking about the stuff that was already in there and trying to make a decision, and I was like, I don't like that scene. I need to fix that.
Exactly. If your character is brushing her teeth and the toothbrush does not attempt to strangle her, you are wasting a scene. So, just saying. There are certain things that they don't have a place in fiction unless something really, really compelling is going to happen right then, right there. I have a character getting out of the shower in one of my published books. And, it was standard shower. She gets out of the shower and she's looking at the steam in the mirror, and all of a sudden writing appears on the mirror in the steam. Okay, that is a reason to give a character a shower.
You know what's funny? I've read how many of your books, and as soon as you said I have a character getting out of a shower, I knew which one you were talking about. What are the odds of that for most writers? You have to have something very interesting happen to a character for a reader to remember exactly which book, exactly what happened, exactly when in the story it happened. That's the paramedic storyline.
Yeah, I see you.
Yeah, no, ICU was it ICU? For some reason, no, Last Girl Dancing was the one I was thinking ICU was named.
Yeah, well,
I don't know why, but ICU, yeah, that's the paramedic one.
Yeah, and it is just a coincidence that it sounds like the letters ICU. It's actually ISEEYOU. ICU.
Yeah.
The medical unit, the ICU.
ICU. Oh, yeah. Okay, intensive critical unit or whatever.
Yeah, intensive care. Yeah.
Intensive care.
That's the one. Yep. So just a weird, because I did not pick that title. That was not my title, but.
Oh, yeah. It was kind of a lame title, so I kind of thought you did pick it up.
Oh, thanks. Yes, I am renowned for my sucky titles. Truly.
Yeah, most of the good ones are what, Matt?
Yeah.
So, so give us the takeaway for this one.
All right. Well, our takeaway here then is this. Good middles hurt the characters we love, put them at risk, leave them desperate, afraid, trapped, and not knowing what will happen next. And if you can do that in your middle, you've nailed it.
Nice. All right.
Well,
that has been our episode on middles. And it is the middle episode in a 3-parter. So, well, yes. I think we might have something else to throw on the end there. I'm not sure yet, but hopefully it's a 3-parter.
Yes. So cliffhanger here, guys. What's the next episode going to be?
Yeah, I already made that joke. So you had to corny it up. Thanks.
Well,
So,
you can
yeah.
eliminate mine. It doesn't have to.
No, I'll keep it in there. Show people how corny you are. So yeah, that is our episode on middles, and you can follow us on the socials at AIARWIP, and that is on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow us at Alone in a Room with Invisible People on Facebook. If you would like to support the podcast, we have a Ko-fi account that is ko-fi.com/alone. And that just, you just basically, it's a buy me a coffee kind of thing. It's in increments of $3. Every single dollar, helps us a lot. There's also a way to donate that you don't have to use coffee.com. You can go to alonewithinvisiblepeople.com, which is our website. And on the right-hand side, there are 3 tiers to support the podcast on a one-time basis, and you can that's just right through PayPal if you're more comfortable with that. If you would like to support Holly, you can go to I say Ko-fi for some reason.
It looks
you can
like
go
Ko-fi.
to coffee.com. Again, that's ko-fi.com/Holly Lyle. It's all one word, and the last name is spelled Lisle. And you can support her. We both have our goals listed on the pages, so you can see what we're working on at the moment. And the other really great ways to support Holly are go on Google or Amazon or DuckDuckGo or whatever it is you use, Barnes & Noble, just look up her fiction. And again, the name is Lisle, and you can find all sorts of stuff. She's got a huge backlist. You can also support her by buying any of her courses. If you want to take a look at the clinics that she has, what's some of the middle courses. There's subtext, learning how to write subtext into your fiction and dialogue. Dialogue with subtext.
How to write dialogue with subtext.
Yeah.
Title cover copy, which is if you.
Well, yeah. Explain that.
Yeah, if you don't have any way, the place you start promoting your work is hard. Oh my God, it's hard. And there are 7 zillion things that you eventually are going to have to do. But if you don't do the first 3 right, as I have proven to myself numerous times now, everything else is wasted effort and wasted money. You have to get a good title, you have to get a good cover, and you have to have good copy. And getting these is difficult. So I have a little workshop on how to do the basics of that. And then once you have the basics down, then you can expand to other people's bigger courses and a bunch of other things. And, this is something that people hit. But if you don't have those things first, that's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna find you.
Nobody will find you.
And if they do, nobody's gonna care because you don't have the title cover copy.
Right.
So yeah, there's those classes, and then there's the big ones, how to think sideways, how to revise your novel. There's just these courses that range from $10 on up, and everything. I feel like there's so many different aspects of writing that as you get more into it, you realize that you're having issues with this or with that. It's always been lucky for me that, she's been my mom, so she's always helped me. But there's so many people out there that she's helped. So many people that are published now because they went through her courses is a big part of what helped them get published. So, if you want to support her that way, you're also supporting yourself in being able to write better and to take these classes and to learn and enjoy yourself. We would love for you to join us with a free account. It is hollyswritingclasses.com. You can go in, you get a free course right away. It's a 3-week course. It's how to write flash fiction that doesn't suck. And at the end of that course, you actually have something, if you do the work, that you can publish. It's 10 flash fiction stories.
10. I think, there's the optional 11th story for people who wanted to just go that little extra mile.
Yeah, give that extra mile. Flash fiction, so that extra 10 feet.
Extra 10 feet. Yes.
Yeah. So I guess that is it. We would love to see what you say about the middles. Come on in, hollyswritingclasses.com. Look for the podcast, Alone in a Room with Invisible People forum, and start talking to us.
Yes.
Tell us what your problem with the middle is.
I would really love to see what kinds of stuff you guys come up with from using this? You know, what changes? What did you change from what you're doing now, from what you found out in this episode?
What would you do to the cat?
Yeah, there you go.
I want to know what other people would do. How would you save the cat? Yeah. So that's it for me. You guys have a great week. We'll see you next week.
And yeah, thank you so much for being with us and joining us. And just realize that you can absolutely do this.